Hi, welcome to Women in Retail Talks, the podcast where C-suite executive women in the retail space share their stories of professional growth, leadership development, personal journeys, and more. I'm Melissa Campanelli, the co-founder of the Women in Retail Leadership Circle, which is a membership-based community of senior-level women in retail. Today, we're live from Shop Talk Spring 2026 with Angie Brown, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer at the Home Depot. Currently, Angie leads the company's technology strategy, including software development, cybersecurity, and infrastructure across more than 2,300 stores and digital platforms. Angie began her career at the Home Depot in 1998 and has held a range of leadership roles in IT. She was named Women in Technology's 2022 Women of the Year and holds a BBA from the University of Georgia, along with executive education from Harvard Business School. Welcome to the pod, Angie.
It's so good to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, we're excited to be here at Shop Talk. There's a lot of excitement around, and I know you're speaking today, so good luck with that.
Thank you.
So we're just going to jump right in.
Sounds great.
So as I mentioned, Women in Retail is all about leadership development, personal journeys, career journeys, so I'd love to start there. Please tell me a little bit about your career. I know we said that you started as an associate systems engineer and rose to CIO at the Home Depot. So what were some defining moments that shaped your leadership journey at Home Depot?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you recapped it great. I started at a very entry-level software developer within the organization, and now it's been 27 years. So you can imagine a lot of different opportunities within that, a lot of different responsibilities. I think, when I take a step back and I think about the question of defining moments, more than any one moment, I think one of the big things that really stands out for me during the course of that time is being comfortable with moving into spaces I didn't know. And so oftentimes during that career, I was tapped to go into an area that was either really complex or needed a lot of cross-functional help, or we couldn't figure out what to do, or it wasn't going well, et cetera. And those moments can be when you're a leader and you're asked to move into that, sometimes you're like, I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't know this space. I don't know if it's a space I wanna jump into. Having the confidence, if you will, or maybe blind faith, if you will, that, I can get in there and I'll figure it out. That was a big part of, I think, why I continued to grow in my career. I was comfortable trying. I was comfortable jumping in, trying to figure it out, and trying to figure out how it could help. And so that served me well, whether it was, I think I was employee number 2 maybe engaged whenever we started talking about buy online, pick up in store and interconnected retail.
Wow.
We didn't even know what that was going to turn into or what it was going to look like. But it was such, an exciting time to be in at the ground level and help figure that out.
Yeah, I love that so much. And we talk about that a lot here at Women in Retail. It's sort of not being afraid to fail. You have to jump in and not be afraid, because that's the only way you learn, you know? So we talk about that a lot. Another thing I wanted to get into a little bit is about moving from a technical role into a strategy role. So can you talk a little bit about how maybe your leadership or your thinking changed with kind of having to take on that new role?
Yeah.
Because it is quite different, right? Technical versus strategy, or tactical versus strategy, I guess.
It is, but at the same time, I think it's interesting to reflect for a moment, why I love technology to begin with. I loved software development because I was able to solve problems. In a retail, that means that I'm able to solve problems for our customers and our associates. So I've always been intrigued first by what's the problem we're trying to solve, and second, what's the best technology we can use to solve it. And so if you think about how you grow then in leadership responsibilities, that kind of core of understanding the business, understanding the value we could bring to our customers, our associates, as you move into leadership, it's doing that on a grander scale. And that north just served me well, whether or not, whether my partners were individual business units within the stores, or the EVP of stores or supply chain, really working with them to understand the company strategy, their strategy in the seats they sit in, and then second, how we can apply technology to bring that to life and exceed expectations.
Yeah, so it's sort of always been a part of the way that you operate, it sounds
Yeah.
like. So another thing we talk about a lot about here at Women in Retail is how companies are transforming, they're changing all the time, all retail, sort of always happening.
Yeah.
So given that, how do you bring your teams along and sort of help them manage through change? It's such a hot topic, and I'm sure
Yeah.
motivating your team is such an important part of leadership. So I'd love to get your perspective on that.
27 years now in technology. I think one of the things that helps me, obviously this is a very big moment. It's a very big step change, but I can look back and think about the number of times that, my quote, cheese was moved in a role that I was in. Whether
Yeah,
maybe
I love that
shouldn't date
expression.
myself
Yeah.
all the way back
Yes, I
to,
love that.
to like COBOL. Like
Yeah.
I started as a Java developer, but I remember, when we went from client server. I remember when we started talking about mobile. I remember when we moved to cloud. I remember all of those things that at the time felt so different. And they felt different and maybe a little bit scary because they were skill sets that I didn't have yet. And I think in the moment that we're in right now, obviously, it's a bigger step change, no two ways about it. But this is one of the cool things about technology. We solve problems that have not been solved before. That's why we got into it. And sometimes, the technologies we use to do our job, they're always evolving. And, should be excitement around evolving your skill set to match that. I have empathy for the, hesitancy or the how is this going to work out.
Right.
I remember feeling that way, but when you come to it with excitement and kind of that I can figure it out too mindset, that's exactly the valuable type of mindset that I look for from an employee perspective.
Right.
If you're an expert in one area, it's great, but what's even better is when you're willing to say, I know something about that and I'm willing to go learn to be an expert, because that learning is just continuous in this industry.
Yeah.
So
That's great. Yeah, it's all about excitement for it, excitement for solving problems, which is a lot of what technology is.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump ahead and talk a little bit about what's happening at Home Depot right now, if it's okay. How are you reimagining the connection between digital and physical retail to create a seamless customer experience at the Home Depot, which is obviously another hot trend right now?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I mentioned that I was one of the early employers when we first, or early associates assigned when we first started to tackle interconnected retail. And I think about that, our very first use case was maybe people want to know what the inventory is in the stores. And then that turned into maybe people want to buy against that inventory in the store and it be ready to pick up, or it be curbside, or it be delivered from the store from them. So now fast forward, to where we are today, Home Depot at its core has been a leader in the interconnected retail space, since its infancy, interconnected retail's infancy. But it shows up in a lot of different ways now. You think about our online experience, over 50% of our orders purchased online are actually fulfilled or picked up in a store right now.
Wow.
And there is that connection between being able to see online what's happening in a store, and it continues to evolve. We use our online assets tremendously in the store. So if we talk about Magic Apron, which is our generative AI chat interface online, we're now piloting that exact same technology in the store to where you can use it localized to that store, localized to that store map, localized to the products that are in that store. And so we just continue to, if you think about the buying journey and you think about how you purchase, how you deliver, how you get inspired, so much of what we are doing, we are trying to make it seamless for you to move in and out of that online and store experience and, use the assets cross-functionally. So
it's basically mirroring how people shop.
Exactly.
They're going in store and they're online. They don't even think about the difference. Sometimes they're ordering in store and they're going to pick it up. Sometimes they're ordering online and it's coming to them, or, you just kind of doing what you have to do to meet the customer's needs,
Right.
sounds like. Which
you're
is
spot
super,
on. Well said.
And then, of course, we have to talk about AI since we're at a conference. Where are you seeing the biggest opportunities for AI? I'm sure it's a huge part of your business now, but I would just love to get your perspective on the opportunities that you're seeing for it.
Yeah. I worry that the simple answer doesn't seem like the flashy answer, but in a lot of ways, like the simple answer here is still spot on for us. What we find is AI helps us most on our most critical priorities for our customers and our associates. So, we constantly try to think customer back. What can we do to delight the customer? What can we do to help the customer? Same for our associates. What's the next best thing we can take on to help them? When we apply AI to those use cases, then that's really where we're seeing the most benefit. So if you think about it, like again, that journey of like inspiration or choosing a product, if you interact with Magic Apron online, it'll help you like compare products, give you details on products. You can ask questions about fit and things of that nature. So that's the inspiration side. We definitely see it there. As you go through that journey, like let's say you've purchased the product and now you're talking about like you want it delivered. Like we're using AI in the delivery in ways that customers don't see necessarily on like route intelligence, to ensure that like our success rate of getting that to you exactly when we said we were going to get it to you. Like, of course the route is built, but then we apply AI on top of that to say, is there construction? Is there a narrow like road? Is this truck type going to fit through this road? Do I need a key code, et cetera? And that allows us to then maybe reach out and make contact ahead of time, to change the truck type if we need to, because we realize we have a mismatch, or reach out to get that key code, whatever the case may be, because we're looking at the history of deliveries that have gone down that route, if anything's gone wrong, and making sure that we apply that learning, now. So that's on the supply chain side. You think about like, what problem are we trying to solve there? On-time delivery.
Yep.
Like it's the same thing that we know customers already care about. How do we use AI in that experience? And then, a lot of times one of the biggest things from customers when you're placing these orders, you think about the communication. Is everything going well? Is it on time? Is it going to show up? And of course, AI plays a role in that all the way through to the customer service side. So it really, like I said, the simple answer of what do customers care about and use AI there, when we think about it through that lens, that's where we're seeing things absolutely be most effective.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's just a way to improve your business, in an easy way. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's not a lot of bells and whistles, right? It's just about making things easier and better for your customers and suppliers and everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple more quick questions. What are you most excited about right now in the world of retail in general, technology or just in general? I mean, I actually had a great conversation yesterday with someone that was telling me that they feel like really positive about the industry right now. They feel like there's a lot of excitement around it, that, I don't know, just how do you feel about retail?
I agree that there is a tremendous amount of excitement. If I take a step back and I first think about that question through the lens of technology, like AI is absolutely changing how we build technology. And there is, I think, a lot of energy that comes from that, because again, I go back to why did I get into this career in the first place? Why did I love this career? It's solving those problems and seeing them come to life and seeing people interact with like solutions that meet their needs. Well, when we talk about how we're applying AI to the software development lifecycle, we can do that faster today. We can prototype things faster. We can visualize, is this going to work? Is it not? And we can move them into the hands of our customers faster. So that gratification of like building a solution that people are engaging with, like the cycle of that is occurring so much faster right now. And so there's a tremendous amount of like increased job satisfaction that comes from that in our engineering community as well. And so I think that's one of the things I would highlight first from technology. And then, from retail in general, we're getting to solve problems that we haven't been able to in the past and continue to take friction out. So
yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, in general. So just in closing, since this is a podcast where we talk about women in retail, what advice would you give to women aspiring to, senior technology and leadership roles out there?
I think I would probably tie that back to where we started.
Yep.
Which again, maybe seems like repetitive, but I always take the time to underscore it with people. I think there's an innate desire to sit at a table and feel like you're the smartest person at the table. You know everything about every topic, and that's where we have confidence and that's where we feel comfortable. The more we can release that and say, I am comfortable being at a table with somebody that may know more about XYZ topic than I do. However, I know I can figure it out. I know I can work cross-functionally. I can bring people together. I'm not intimidated by the fact that I'm moving into an area that's new to me. And being comfortable with that change, being comfortable with putting yourself out there, being comfortable that you have got the skill set to learn.
Yeah.
And so no matter what opportunity that is in front of you, to have the confidence that you can learn and you can maneuver through new things. I think sometimes we hold ourselves to this bar of we already have to be experts.
Perfect. Right. We have to be perfect or have to be,
And so I guide and coach everybody to release that bar, hold yourself to a standard of grace, not perfection, and to maneuver through those stages and take on new challenges. And I think that's just a key part of it. And if you're core to your passion from a job perspective, you know what fuels you, don't worry about anything else. You've got what it takes.
Right. Love it. I'm getting the chills. That was great. I love it. What did you say? Come to it from a place of grace.
Not perfection. I think I need to give credit for that quote. I think it was Reshma Sejwani who uses that.
Yes.
Or it may not have been her, but that's not an original, from my perspective.
Right.
But man,
that's fine.
It has stayed with me.
Yes, it is. It's it's all about how you present yourself and and your excitement levels. And you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. It's all about being just excited. You know?
Absolutely.
So I love it so much. Well, it was so great to meet you, Angie. Thank you so much.
You as well.
I'm so glad that you were able to take the time to do the podcast and that you were able to share your wisdom with our audience. And have a great Chef Talk show.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please go to womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review our show. Lastly, if you're a female retail leader interested in joining our community at Women in Retail Leadership Circle, visit womeninretail.com/apply. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.